So I'm going with Lorenzo Carter. I think Lorenzo Carter has to be stout in the run game. In the way that Sean McVay's offense runs the football in the zone scheme, Andrew Whitworth and Rob Havenstein are some big boys. He's got to do a great job of setting the edge in that zone scheme and forcing everything back inside so he doesn't let the defense get stretched. And in the passing game, he has got to be effective and create a sack or a game-changing play in this football game because we know how hot Jared Goff is coming into this one.
Yeah, and he'll have those opportunities. Jared Goff likes to throw the ball a lot. He's got a plethora of receivers, a ton of guys to get the ball to. So it's going to be important for not just Lorenzo, obviously, but that entire defense to stay in the face of Jared Goff and make his day very, very difficult so that secondary can have opportunities to create interceptions and make those big plays.
Absolutely.
So as we continue to talk about big plays, obviously when you think of that secondary of the Giants, you think of Logan Ryan.
Ooh, okay.
Mainly because of coming in, Jared Goff, throwing the ball all over the field. When you think of Logan Ryan, you think of his winning, right? You think of going back to New England, one of those cornerstone guys on that defense that you remember. And then you think about just how he's a proven winner. He understands defenses. He understands schemes. He's seen every offensive front that there is. So moving forward, I'm expecting Logan Ryan to have a huge day going up against all these different receivers, a ton of opportunity to make plays, read his keys, and read through the quarterback, through the receiver, and make those big plays.
We know Jared Goff spreads the football around, and Cooper Kupp is his security blanket, and Robert Woods is that intermediate threat in the crossing game. So Logan Ryan is definitely going to have to be responsible for that. The player that we need to keep below the numbers for the Los Angeles Rams is Jared Goff.
Yeah, Jared Goff's off to a hot start, and he's been really throwing the ball all over the field. Like we mentioned, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, catching a ton of screens on the outside and turning those small plays into big gains. And that's what they do best, and to keep the defense honest that way. So we got to get in Jared Goff's face. We got to make him uncomfortable. We can't just let him drop back, every third down, second down, keeping us off balance in the play action pass, like you said. We got to make sure that he is affected, especially on third downs where he does most of his damage.
And going back to Lorenzo Carter in this defense stopping the run, Jared Goff has been thriving in the play-action passing game. He has 12 completions for over 154 yards and 2 touchdowns when rolling outside of the tackle box. That's where this Giants defense can step up. If they can stop the play action and force him into shotgun, that's where we've seen the erratic throws into takeaways thrown by Jared Goff.
We have the pleasure of talking about who might be the best player in the National Football League.
That's right, Aaron Donald, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, led the NFL in sacks 2 years ago. He is an absolute handful, an absolute nightmare. Ask Buffalo Bills fans about how he can possibly wreck a game. You saw what he did last week in the fourth quarter alone. Big-time quarterback pressure, not just getting to the sack and getting to the quarterback. He gets the ball out, too, so it's a double negative you've got to try to avoid.
And, Sean, it takes a group effort to stop Aaron Donald.
It sure does. It might take all three of these guys to block him. It might be the triple team concept that you're going to need to employ. But certainly, when he's one-on-one against Will Hernandez out in that 3 technique, he's really quick with that inside move, so you've got to do a great job if you're Will Hernandez. Make him run to the outside. Do not let him beat you inside. The quickest pass to the quarterback is that inside pass rush. Certainly, you'll see him line up over Nick Gates at some point because they're going to want to test the young center. And then, of course, Kevin Zeitler, who is a veteran, but is going to have his hands full with Aaron Donald as well. I think as much as we talk about the sacks, John, the run game, he will blow up. His penetration can blow up a run game quicker than anything. And I think that's one of the keys you have to do. Find him in the running game and double team him at the point of attack. And that's one of the things you can do by design with formation, with personnel. Try to get him to the point of attack. You always run at Aaron Donald. Don't try to run away from him.
And we've seen him succeed against all types of competition. Week 1 against Dallas, he beat Zach Martin, one of the best guards in football, a lot over the course of that game. Does well against running backs who come over at help, too. And the Giants, the last couple of weeks, Sean, have had some issues against moving defenses, teams that use stunts and twists. They'll use Aaron Donald in that way as well.
Yeah, they're definitely going to move him around. They're not going to just let you tee off on him. And I think to that point, you're going to see him lined up even sometimes against the tackle. So you'll see him lining up outside, and then that will create more space for him. I think the one thing that can really help your offensive line, anytime you're playing a guy like Aaron Donald, who's teeing off on the football, he's staring at that ball, he's listening for the quarterback, use the hard count. And especially, look, this game is on the road, but it's not going to be an issue with the crowd noise. You're not going to have to go silent count. So use that hard count to try to slow him down and don't let him get a jump on the snap.
And Sean, the Rams have other talented players too. Leonard Floyd, Michael Brockers. How do they get their communication set so they don't have some of those free runners coming after Daniel Jones?
Well, it all starts with the center getting everybody on the same page. You've got to make the right mic declaration, let everybody know who we're going to, who we're responsible for. Nick Gates has got to voice that, and Daniel Jones has got to back him up.
Let me ask you about the Rams. So you guys go out now to face an LA team that is averaging about 30 points a game. Very, very explosive. What's the first thing you think you have to take care of against this offense?
The first thing, we have to stop the run. Everything up front starts with the run, and we have to dominate the line of scrimmage and get a lot of nutback and make some big plays in their backfield. So we have to stop the run before we could even think about doing anything else.
How difficult is it to deal with their running game, though? Because they've got 3 different running backs who have run the ball a significant amount of time. And then you also know that Robert Woods, one of their speedy wide receivers, also likes to run that wide receiver sweep also.
Yeah, they have some great running backs. Their skill position guys are phenomenal. And, it's going to be a challenge, but that's why we play defense. We love a good challenge. And, have to go out there and just make sure we stop them.
How much of their motion and pre-snap trickery is something that's just meant to confuse a defense, or do you have to kind of ignore that stuff when you line up against them?
As a defensive lineman, you can't look at too much of it because that's when you get confused. You have to read your keys up front, the offensive lineman. And a lot of the times they don't always take you to the ball, so you just have to know the scheme they play. So that's the biggest thing. You have to watch a lot of film and stuff.
One of the things that I've seen from looking at some of that tape is that Jared Goff this year appears to be using more rollouts than he has in the past. What do you see on the film from him that appears to make him more dangerous than before?
Their play-action pass game is phenomenal. They probably, I think it was like 49%. Their play-action passes are way more than anybody else in the league, and they do a great job. Jared does a great job as hiding the ball until he gets ready to throw it. So we have to make sure we stop the run and make sure we convert the pass on play-action pass.
It also seems to me, Dalvin, that this is an offense that's averaging like 7 yards a pop on first down. I mean, my goodness, that is much too much for a defense to give up. How much of your concentration this week has been on making sure first down is not a good time for them?
Oh, yeah, Mo. I always make sure, first, second down is one of the top 2 things I focus on throughout the week, simply because if you don't have a good first and second down, you might well not even think about third down because they already got another first down. So you have to focus on those things day in and day out when we come into work.
All right, well, the Giants are going to be playing out in LA this week. It's the first time they're going to be playing at the brand new SoFi Stadium. This place is ridiculous.
This place looks incredible. $5 billion stadium. That's how much it costs to make this thing. I think they got TVs everywhere. They got translucent lights. You can see the moon from there, it looks like. It's going to be dope to play there. I'm a little jealous.
As a player, when you're walking into a building that's got that new building smell or whatever, is there a little extra something?
Absolutely. I mean, after the first 5 minutes of doing this and walking around and looking up. I remember when we were at Cowboy Stadium for the first time, they put that new screen up there. We were just doing this the whole time, looking up. But obviously, there's definitely a little something. You want to make sure you come in there and win, and you get all these that new stadium feel.
We're going to take a look at what the Rams do offensively, and just like in the game against the Niners last week, they're going to give you a lot of motion and a lot to think about in basic run plays.
Yeah, and it's deception. It's eye candy. It's to distract your eye level. And what's very important when you do this, Bob, when you defend a team that just gives you a lot of looks and runs the same plays, these guys here up front, the front 4, they've got to be very disciplined and play their keys. If a guy is telling you it's run your way, play it as run your way and don't get distracted by guys running. And then you got these guys here on the second level. You've got to know what your keys are too. So if something to your side is to be played a certain way, don't let your eyes wander. And we're going to take a look here at players who just let their eyes wander. So you got a player right here. Let's just watch and see what happens. He's got a guy blocking him. We'll run it a little more. Freeze. Here's the ball carrier. Here's this guy running in that direction. You've got to play your keys. I'll bring it back again a little further. A lot of guys not knowing what they're doing, being pensive. So I'll freeze it. Here's a guy here who can impact the play, Bob. He's right here in the middle of the defense. Just watch what happens. He gets a clean shot at the quarterback. Right here. He's a pass rusher. What does he do? He second guesses his responsibilities. Now, that play is over with.
All right, Carl, obviously last week the Giants got beat on a wide receiver running in the ball from 19 yards out. Guess what? The Rams do the same stuff.
Yeah, it's the same thing. But like I said before, Bob, I'm stepping in here, these guys up here have got to play their techniques. What does it mean on a run play? If a guy is blocking you down here, that means he's blocking you to get the ball around you. But if you fall for the eye candy, which this team does, they all get washed down. Look at that. And there's no one to see the ball carrier. But if you play your responsibility, play the way the guys are blocking you, you're in position to make this play, especially the guy here at the end of the line of scrimmage. Let's just take a look. Everybody's blocking down. When they block you down, that means something's coming here. This guy is window dressing. There are not many offenses that will block defenders into the side that they're running the football. So you've got to know where the pressure and the leverage is. Here's a guy wide open to make the play. This guy should make the play, but because they block down, you're thinking the ball's going that way. But logic says teams don't block you in the direction that they're running the football. They're going to tell you where the ball is going, not show you. Their blocking will tell you.
All right, let's go to the other side of the ball. And they've got Aaron Donald, arguably one of the best defensive players in the NFL. What do they do defensively here, Carl, that really impresses you?
Well, it's the same thing that has bedeviled the Giants' offensive line. It's movement. You got a guy outside of the formation, so you know something's coming in form of a twist. So we'll just run this, and I'm only showing this because, why? The Giants have had trouble all year with the exact same movement. This action, a guy coming from out here, a guy coming from in here, and they're doing some type of twist. That's what the Giants have been struggling with, and they'll get it because this team is good at it.
Who's the best athlete in Los Angeles right now? Is it LeBron, Aaron Donald, or Mike Trout? Carl, you go first.
I'm going with the king. Even though he doesn't train with knives like Donald, he is the most incredible athlete.
You know what? I do love LeBron James. I'm a big LeBron James fan, but I got to say Mike Trout might be the best athlete in the Los Angeles area right now.
Can he shoot a three? Can he sack a quarterback?
Hit a home run.
I believe he could catch a touchdown, though. I'm not sure Trout can.
He probably could. I believe both of them could catch a touchdown, but I believe Trout could hit that curveball. So
there we go.
I'm going to go with that.
All right, question number 2. With the Giants playing the Rams this week, who needs to elevate his game the most for the Giants to come away with a win? Howard?
Wow. I would think if you're going to have one player just going to make the biggest difference, I'm going to say it's going to have to be Danny Dimes. He's going to have to come up big in this game and almost lift the offense up by being almost supernatural in his play.
Well, you know, it's hard to argue with where the ball begins at the quarterback level, but I'm going to tell you, the guy who can really make a difference, Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram. I like that. It would be a lot in the blocking department, if you ask me, but I'll go with Evan Ingram also.
Well, any contribution over and above what he's given thus far is a major contribution.
Aaron Donald's going to be a handful. If you go back over the last couple seasons, he has 12 games of 2 or more sacks, the most in the NFL. What makes him so good?
He's disruptive. He's in a very explosive defensive lineman, which means that he gets on you. And a lot of those guys are very slow when they're trying to move around on the interior. He can make moves as if he's in space in a very tight area.
Can you use that against him in a situation?
You need to use 2 people against him. He requires attention, but he will be disruptive even if he's not directly involved in the play. He's going to get some attention, which is going to free up some other guys.
25. It has been 25 years, basically almost 26 years, since the Giants last played in Los Angeles. That was in 1994. You played out there a couple times,
Yeah.
obviously in a playoff game. What's it like when you play out in L.A.?
You know, you get seduced by the weather, to be honest with you, and you have to keep your mind focused on football because it's just different coming, especially this time of year, coming from the Northeast. And you get to LA and your mind just starts to go all over the place, and you just have to focus on football because the fans, they don't really like football until Sunday anyway. So you're just kind of like, wow, this is really cool.
By the way, the Rams won that day in Anaheim. Jerome Bettis was actually on the Rams at that point. All right, let's take a look at 56.4. And you take a look at the conversion rate on third downs, and the Rams have a third down conversion rate of 56.4. Only the Chiefs have a better third down conversion rate. How do they control this?
Well, they just have to get better at what they do. I think, you know, it's not good news to see a team that converts at a high rate, but it's the good news for the Giants is, hey, they got work to do. They can't be any worse because they're right there where the top teams are converting. They just have to get better.
Jared Goff is completing 70% of his passes. He's averaging 9 yards per pass attempt. What can the Giants do to slow him down? Because we've seen him slow down before.
Yeah, again, it's all the eye candy he gets you. If he's averaging 9 yards a pitch or a pitch and catch, that means that could be a 4-yard dump down and the guy is running another 5. So you've just got to be disciplined. The guys who are supposed to rush Goff, don't get distracted. Go get the quarterback, let the other guys play it. And if he does dump it for a short pass, go tackle the guys. That's all you have to do. They try to create mismatches.
And the interior of the defense, right, Carl? I mean, no quarterback wants pressure. That's obvious. Mm-hmm. But if you can get at his feet and force him off his spot, because a lot of what they do is timing, isn't it?
It is all timing, Bob. When you get into misdirection, there's a mismatch somewhere for the defense also, so the ball has to come out on time.